One of the biggest reasons that you clicked on this video today is because you knew that you needed to change something in your life. Now, there's a common likelihood that you don't have a lot of time watching this, that you're probably just really tired or that you're kind of bored. So I only have 5 points to actually tell you about so that you can start changing your life and start doing something important with your life after this video ends. Number one, and for starters, wasting time is one of your biggest enemies in life. I realize that as you grow and as you do things and as you are around people and meet people, you're going to start kind of seeing that there's a lot of different things that can try and grab your attention and take you away from doing what's necessary and what's real. For instance, if you're a college student or a high school student, you're going to understand that actually going to parties, having fun with friends, going to bars, that's a great thing to do because you're socializing, you're actually being able to use some of the skills that you were born with. And I think with social media, we're kind of straying away from that, so to speak. But one of the biggest things that you're supposed to understand when you go to those parties and when you go to those bars, when you go to those clubs or whatever, you're wasting, and you're not even really wasting, you're sacrificing the ability to work on something else. Now, how does that look, you may ask? For instance, you could be trying to actually finish assignments, do homework, study, whatever it is, or even just do work from your job, like whatever it may be, you're sacrificing that in order to have a momentary amount of fun or enjoyment, which again, I think everything is kind of on a scale, right? You can, of course, do it once in a while, but when you start to abuse that power and start to kind of really go overboard with it, you're going to waste your time, you're going to waste your energy, and then there's no going back, because that's the one thing a lot of people have to understand. You have time, sure, you have however many years. The thing is, nobody can actually guarantee that for you. As far as everybody knows, like, we want to live to 80, 90, 100 even, right? But the thing is, we can't do that, or we can't really guarantee that at all. You could literally get hit by a truck tomorrow, and then boom, that's the end. So when you actually put it into perspective and you tell yourself, like, hey, I have time, sure, I have time, but like, how much time do I really have? And on top of that, most of the time, people start to figure out later in life that what you do have is time, right? Everybody has time. But the thing is, time doesn't stop for people. It doesn't. Because even when you take a break, when you are sitting on the couch and watching TV, when you're out with friends, it may feel like there's a momentary lapse in time, that there's kind of this pause that you've done where you say that, like, no, I'm taking a break, so therefore everything has to stop, and then it all starts again when I come back. But the reality is, that's not the case. You still are going forward. You're still, like, hours are passing, days are passing. Even if you want to say that you're just taking a break, time is still passing. It's not waiting for you. Nothing waits for you. That's the one thing you have to realize, is that nobody waits for you ever. Nothing does. Nobody does. The only person that waits is you yourself. So it's just like, what are you waiting for? You know what I mean? Like, if you can actually go forward and start something and do something, then go ahead and just do it. There's no reason to wait on it, right? Because if you can retire in your 30s instead of your 60s or your 70s, that's one of the most, like, greatest things to do ever, because you realize that you saved all this time in the future for what you actually want to do, which is relax. So it is really just also prioritizing the specific things that you want to do when you want to do them, because you can't always just push aside all of the work that you have to do, all of the homework, schoolwork, even just learning, studying. Like, there's a lot of people who, are studying right now, going to college right now in their 70s, their 60s, which isn't a bad thing, like, by any account, right? That's a really great thing. But a lot of these people, I wouldn't even call it regret necessarily, but they have this idea that they would have rather done it earlier, because then they would have more time to do something later in life that isn't studying. Because whether you'd like to admit it or not, whatever you're not going to do right now, it's going to happen later. It's just choosing what day and what time you're going to do it, because whether you like to admit it or not, it's going to happen, and you're going to have to do it. Number two is letting noise and exterior noise distract you from your goals and from your ambition. When you're surrounded by people and by things and by all this, like, literally, we're surrounded by so much noise and by so many things that could distract us, right? There's people, there's clubs, there's literally advertisements that scream 24/7 what they're trying to sell to you, even when you just walk by. Like, I think there was a statistic that said there was like 50, you would see like 75 or 50 signs every single day, just subconsciously, that are all advertisements. And that's, like, you can't even do anything about that, right? What you can do is focus on the noise that you can actually push aside, which is fake friends, fake social circles, obnoxious TV, and obnoxious social media, and then useless games. So there's a lot of things that happen in life where you're kind of put through these tests, so to speak. That's the way I think about it, is that you're put through tests. You're put through these situations where you could choose a path that's good or you could choose a path that's bad, right? That's where that peer pressure idea comes from, for instance, right? So I'm assuming most of you have been told by your parents, like, don't do this. If you don't do drugs or don't do anything, even when you're peer pressured to, right? Because when you're put into that position, you are given a choice. You can either do what everybody wants you to do, or you can do what you know you're supposed to do, which is just not do anything, right? And you go into those situations in the first place by surrounding yourself with people who are negative and are wasteful and just want you to do the worst things. Because most of those people, if you realize this early, most of these people who are trying to put you in these really stupid positions just want to watch you fall with them. Because it's lonely falling. Like, I bet some of you even felt this before. It is lonely falling. When you fall, it is super lonely because you know that nobody else wants to fall. You know that nobody else is falling with you. So the best thing you can hope for, if you don't want to actually do the work and get out of that pit, is to bring somebody down with you so that you're not lonely there. On top of that, there's social media, which is kind of another, I suppose, subset of what I just mentioned, right? When you go through and you're, for example, on Instagram, if you're just like scrolling through and you see all these different people, you see all these different things. First of all, I think a lot of you already know this. It's a curated selection of what people want you to see about them, right? So most of it is fake. If you're feeling like, oh, I wish I could do what they're doing. I wish I could be with all these people that they're being with. I wish I could go and party every single day. Most of the time, they aren't even doing that themselves. They're just a curated selection of what they want to do. So some of you may also think, okay, well, what else is bad about it, right? Well, that's another point of just wasting your time. Most people don't even realize that they're spending hours upon hours on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on whatever. If you don't have the screen time or whatever on your iPhone, open it and just do it and like install it so you can see how many hours you spend every single day on your phone. Most people don't even know how many hours they spend, and it's like an exorbitant amount. Some people literally spend 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, insane amounts for no reason. I really do just want to reiterate that you have to forget about stupid drama, stupid people, stupid social medias, because there's literally no use. Like, if you really think about it, there's no use. You could literally connect with people through messages. There's no use for you to connect them through Instagram or through whatever. And most of the time as well, you know, the people who are like genuinely so addicted to social media that they cannot get off of it, they literally have to make up a reason just to stay on it. Like, if you can't tell yourself and just actually say, you know, I can get off this for like months on end, or I can literally just stop using this and I'll be fine. If you can't say that to yourself, then you're literally lying. And on top of that, you're addicted. Like, you don't know it, but you are addicted. There's a reason that most people who are on social media are stuck there, and that's because the algorithm forces you to literally go through and watch everything. So if you're telling yourself, no, you don't understand, I'm on social media because I want to be, not because I'm forced to be, or I'm on social media because I just want to connect with people, I just want to see people, you don't understand, I just want to be close to people, I want to be social. First of all, literally there was a Netflix documentary that talked about this, that literally talks about the way that social media influences your mind and forces you to stay online. And it says that the literal, like, you know, the dings that happen whenever you get in a notification, those dings are literally programmed to get you hooked. And if you also read, there's this really, really good book that I would recommend to anybody. It's called Atomic Habits. It's such a good book. And it focuses on all these different ideas on how habits are formed, on how hooks are formed in your mind that force you to do something. So for instance, with social media, there's this like habit loop that happens where basically once you get that alert, that notification that says, hey, somebody messaged you, somebody gave you a call, somebody liked your thing, you pick up your phone because you're wanting to get that satisfaction of knowing that you've been socializing with someone. So you pick up the phone, you open it up, and then you get that satisfaction. And what happens is a loop forms in your brain where there's a signal that your brain can start to catch up on, where if you get a notification, your brain immediately tells your body to look at the phone and open it, because then you'll get that satisfaction of seeing somebody like your post. It's not that difficult, and it's not that crazy to believe. Like, literally, TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, all these different things, they rely on you being hooked on their app. So if you can just truly detox and get off of it for a few minutes, like I'm really just saying a week. Try getting off it for a week. You're going to see your life be so much happier and so much more free. You're going to have more time to do everything that you need to do, which ties back to the first point that I mentioned. So I just want to end this point off by saying that stuff, it doesn't build your life. It doesn't help you in any way. It really just takes away from your future. It takes away from what you have to offer in the future, which is just time. The reason that we work in the first place is to have the opportunity of having free time. Think about it. So when you're able to actually have free time without having to pay for it, that's like the best thing ever. The third point I want to mention is that you have to do boring work. Boring work, the most unsexy work ever, the most obnoxiously annoying work, is going to be the work that builds you up and turns you into a successful person in the future. When you were studying in high school or in college or in middle school, even just university, whatever, right? When you were studying, if you didn't study, by the way, you know that you had to study. You know that you had to spend that time that was super annoying, where you had to sit behind your book and just look at it and stare and highlight and do whatever. And you know that that would have helped you, because the reality is, as soon as you start doing the boring work, you're going to have the ability to do the fun stuff later. Like I mentioned in the first point, everything is going to happen whether you'd like to admit it or not. At one point or another, something and everything is going to happen. If you're postponing, let's say, doing homework, you're just going to have to do it later in the semester. If you're postponing doing your actual work, your job, you're just going to have to do it later, or else you're going to get fired. If you're postponing studying, you're just going to have to study before the day of the test. It's everything is going to happen at some point. It's just your choice to choose when to do it. That's another thing as well. The boring work, when you're actually able to start doing it early, okay, it's not going to be as difficult and boring later on. It's like, it's kind of counterintuitive in a sense, but as soon as you start doing boring work early, it's not going to be as boring in the future anymore. Same thing with reading, right? A lot of people don't read. They really don't. And that's one of the worst things ever, because I mean, all of our texts for the last, like, however long, we have had history for, we've had books to teach us something, to teach us how to live, to teach us something new, right? We've only had phones for the last like 20 years. So it's a crazy thing that we're so distant from what we used to have, right? Even just reading a book every once in a while, every month or every few months, because I know some people don't even want to read books every year, or any years. They haven't read a book for the last 20 years. If you can just read a book like once every year, every month, because you can literally read a book every month. I promise you can. If you can't, you're like illiterate. I don't know what to tell you. But if you can read a book every month and tell yourself that you want to do that, and you're going to do that, then you're actually going to notice some genuinely good causes. Like, you're going to notice that your life has significantly changed because you spent time, you spent a lot of time focusing on a book, reading its pages, learning about it, right? Even if you don't understand what the book is about, just read it, because you'll be reading the words and you'll understand the words. Subconsciously, something will happen in your brain that tells you that you read that. And after you're done with it, you'll feel accomplished. You'll feel like you've done something, which is also a great thing. You want to start doing more things to get that same feeling. So just read, because reading teaches you so much. Even if it's not an educational book, it teaches you new vocabulary. It teaches you new ways to speak. It teaches you new perspective. It teaches you new stories to use when you're talking to other people. That book that I had mentioned called Atomic Habits kind of delves into this idea that every single thing you think about or do, it is like a vote. It's like 1% to this pool that is you, that like you could think of as yourself. And every 1% that you add slowly fills up the pool, okay? So let's say you just have an empty pool where people like skate around, right? But every single day you add like a cup of water or a bowl of water, because that also depends on how much effort you want to put. So if you want to put in a gallon of water, you can put in a gallon of water. You can put in a cup of water, or you can put in a bowl of water. However much water you're going to put in, for the first few weeks, right, you're not going to see that pool grow at all. All you're going to see is this little layer, this thin layer of water at the bottom of the pool. So you can't even swim in that. But as months progress and you start seeing the pool fill up, you're going to realize that that amount of water that you kept adding in has eventually compounded and created the pool that you've been wanting to swim in. And on top of that, that effort, that's change in effort. It doesn't always mean that you have to go full gallon level, full tanker level of water in. Sometimes you can just put in a cup, but you're still putting in that water and still contributing to the pool. Every single day that you do this boring work and this unsexy work, you're contributing to the pool. And again, that's why it's considered unsexy, is because you don't see the results immediately. Your brain, it's asking for the results. It's waiting and it's wanting it immediately, today, but you can't get it, because you understand that it's going to take a long time until you actually see any real result. Therefore, in order to see the results that you want to see and get the satisfaction that you want to get in your brain, you have to do that boring work for an extended period of time. That's another thing as well. For just again, regarding that pool analogy again, you added 1% and 1% and 1%. And eventually after a week, it's 10%, right? Now you have 10% of a pool filled up. 10% doesn't feel like a lot. It's like that sliver of water just on the bottom, like a puddle. But then imagine 89%. You add more, and then you're to 90%. A very big difference, okay? That's a very big difference. So eventually, after a certain point, when you start adding in more water, when you're at a certain level of water and you keep adding in water, it's going to be a different sort of effect and a different sort of result than when you first started off. But you have to start to get to that level. And the reality of the situation is most people are waiting for somebody to tell them to do that, for somebody to actually get them to get up, to take them out of their bed and start working out or start working on their new business or start just doing anything to actually help get them to that certain position. Like even just eating clean, reading books more, starting to write your novel, whatever, right? Everybody's waiting for that motivation every single day. When I think about it, I think the reality is you only need motivation. You only need motivation just to start. But after that, you need consistency and you need to get yourself out of that bed and keep doing what you need to do. So what you don't need is a motivational quote. What you need is a system that works for you and that actually brings you to the position that you want to get. So make yourself a sort of like daily plan that you literally force yourself to stick to. And that's the thing. Nobody can force you to do anything except for yourself. Nobody can force you to do anything unless you're like getting tortured. Nobody can force you to do what you need to do. So force yourself to get into that mindset of just constantly focusing on the plan that you've made for yourself. Of course, that's the one time I do allow motivation is on that first like time that you're actually starting your plan, because on that one time, like I can understand it. Like you have been in a slump and you have no reason to get up every single day. Like like I understand that. But even then you can still push yourself to go towards it even if you don't have any motivation, right? Get your motivation in that position or in that point. That's the only time I think it's necessary or allowed, But once you get that motivation, watch and that's another thing as well. Watch like somebody that you genuinely aspire to be, that you think is a role model, and just see how their life is, and then just like get yourself really angry that you don't have their life. Get yourself really angry that you don't have their body, that you don't have their money, that you don't have the girl that they want, that you don't have the mindset that they have of like that I don't give. But it's like it's that sort of idea that you have to get angry to start it. So get angry. Watch something that makes you angry. Watch somebody that makes you angry so that you can get that motivation. That's your motivation, first of all. And then after that, after you started your first time, you're gonna have like a day of motivation, 24-hour period where you were motivated to do what you want to do. So write out that plan, do what you need to do, and then stick to the plan. Even just getting into the gym, just driving there, make yourself a routine, because then your brain's going to start thinking, okay, when I'm in this routine, when I'm in the car, when I'm driving to the gym, I already know I'm going to go to the gym. So I'm going to go to the gym. Your brain's going to connect and it's going to make that idea, it's going to make that routine for you when you make it for yourself. And it's going to stick to it. So number 4 is the idea that every decision you make, every single decision you make is a vote for your future self. It's a vote for who you're going to become. The idea that you are going to go into any sort of situation, it's like if you're a coder or a programmer, it's like an if-else statement where basically you're given 2 positions. If you go forward with that one choice, let's say, if someone wants to offer you, I don't know if this is allowed. Okay, wait, let's say something else. If someone offers you a naughty substance that is going to wreck your life, and this is also, again, this is going to tie back into all these other points because everything connects. But if someone offers you a naughty substance that is not good for you, but you're being told by everybody, nah, it's good. You don't have to worry about it. Like everyone's tried it. Don't worry about it. You're going to like it. When you know that it's bad for you and that it's going to cause havoc in your system and that it's literally going to destroy you, and yet you falter to what other people think, to what other people are going to say, then you are voting for the wrong future self that you are. You're voting for the future self that is addicted to whatever that substance is. They're addicted to that want and that desire of other people, what they want to think, what they want to say. What you are voting for yourself to be in a bad position. So all you need to do is to vote for the right version of yourself. Go forward and whenever you're in some sort of situation, you don't even need me to tell you what situation is going to be good, because you know subconsciously what situation is good or not. And not even subconsciously, you just know. You know what situation is good and bad. It's not that hard to go into some sort of situation or some sort of choice and be given a good answer and a bad answer. Like you know. It's not that hard. You either move up and you become the person that you want to be. You become the person that you aspire to be and that you are impressed by and that you just want, that you envision yourself being, or you move towards a version of yourself that is filled with regret and that lives a life of just pain and suffering. One thing people keep underestimating and keep forgetting is that we have one life. Okay? One life. When you're 27, you can't become 26. 26 is already behind. You can't go back. You're already done with that year. You're done. So when you become 27, you can't go back to 18, 17, 12, 10, 20, whatever that may be. That's behind you now and you can't go back. So start working towards the person you want to become by putting that vote in every single day. There's also the one thing people forget is that you can start voting for that person right now. There's never a bad time to vote for that person. Vote for them. Start voting for them right now. It's not hard. It's not bad. You're never going to be late. Who defines something as late? Society? Who cares about what society thinks about you? Start going towards something, even if you feel like you're late, which you're not. I promise you, you're not. You're never late. Go watch my other video. My other video literally talks about this. You're not late. You're not late. Finally, number 5, you'll never feel ready. Okay? You'll never feel ready, but that's the point. That's the point of it all, is that you're not gonna, you think when Cristiano Ronaldo literally started playing soccer, he felt ready. When Tom Brady, he literally started, I think, in like senior year or junior year, something like that, maybe sophomore, but he started late compared to everybody else. So everybody was telling him that he wasn't gonna make it. He wasn't gonna do good. He wasn't gonna grow into the person he was gonna wanted to be. He wasn't gonna do good in football at all. They were literally telling him that he should go play something else, or just not even play sports, because he was late. But the reality is, what time you start, whatever time you start, you're starting. You're starting. And if you just push past all that noise that we talked about in the other point, you push past all of that noise and you focus on your objective and you put that vote in every single day, it doesn't matter that you started late. It doesn't matter what people are talking about you or telling you that you can't do this. What matters is that you started, and that even if you didn't feel ready to start, you still started, you still put that vote and you still put that idea that, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go towards it. I'm actually going to fulfill my prophecy of becoming who I want to become. Like, genuinely, all this stuff about like, oh, like you're too late to start doing these sports or to start understanding or to learn this stuff. That's just not the truth. You're never too late. Again, society is saying that you're too late. Who cares about that? So if you're waiting to feel ready, you'll be waiting forever, because you will never feel ready, because all this other stuff is happening around you that's kind of telling you, oh, that's probably not a good idea. Oh, that, you're not going to really do good, and that's why even bother doing it in the first place. You're going to be told by a lot of those sorts of people, and a lot of that noise is going to happen, and you're going to feel like you're not ready, because you never will be ready. So you just have to start. You're going to learn so much. I promise you're going to learn so much just by going through the motion of actually doing it and going through that idea. Just going forward and starting and doing everything that you want to do is enough. And you will learn more by being in motion, by being in that idea, in that space, and just going forward to get on the train of success. You're going to keep moving forward, and you're going to learn as you go. You don't have to know everything when you start. You don't. Nobody knows anything when they start something. How does that even make sense? Nobody knows anything when they start something. So why do you have to know everything when you want to start what you want to do? Why do you need to know how a business works when you want to start it? So many people have failed businesses. And yet they continued to go on that train of success and to focus on, like, I'm going to do this no matter what. And they've succeeded by just not stopping anything, by focusing on what they wanted to do, by telling themselves, even though I'm not ready, even though I failed so many times, I'm going to keep going. You're never going to feel ready until you actually start it and just do it. And you're going to realize nobody's ready whenever they start anything. Hopefully you understood some of what I was talking about. And if you didn't, rewatch this video and then watch the other video on my channel. But like, this is easy stuff to understand. And it's not even like I'm reiterating I'm not inventing the wheel. I'm literally just telling you what I've learned and what other people have learned as well. This is not something hard. Like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I'm literally going to post a lot more about it. Bear with me and stick with me. See you on the next video.